welcome everybody to the NBA Triple Double Show powered by SportsMemo TV. I'm your host, John Ryan, and I'm with my buddy and co-host, Ronald, better known as @UCapper on YouTube. And he also, as I like to say, he's the reigning king of the NBA Hardwood over at SportsMemo.com. He made over 80 units for his clients. So if you're interested in making money in the NBA, I think you got the right show here. Welcome to the show, Ronald. We'll get started right away. Our first game we're going to take a look at is the Charlotte Hornets are playing at 7 o'clock at the Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C., and that means the host is the Washington Wizards, who are off to a rather surprising start, 11-5, 7-1 at home. Washington is a 4-point favorite. The over-under is 216 points. Where are you seeing some opportunities in this matchup, Ronald?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the Wizards are sort of overachieving, and to me, I think the Hornets are a little bit too. Both teams are going at it in different ways. The Hornets are one of the top offenses in the league, and the Wizards are one of the top defenses in the league. The Hornets are one of the only teams in the league, one of the few teams in the league with more overs this season than unders. But in their last 6 games, five of their games actually have gone to the under. And the Wizards have held their opponents to 100 or less points in the last 7 of 8 games. And so, this is one of those games where maybe the public will push this total up closer to tip off, but ultimately this one might go under, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you on that too. And I'm looking at some data here. Charlotte is one of 5 teams that actually has a 500 or higher record playing the over. The rest of the league is still trending down. Scoring's down to 106.2 for the season, which I talked about it before we went on the air here. That it's mind-boggling. It's hard to figure out when it's going to stop. It's really a remarkable change, and it just can't be the feel of the basketball or the new rules. It's got to be more than that. But Charlotte, despite being a winning record over type team, when they're playing a team with a winning record this year, they're 6-1 to the under, and Washington certainly has a winning record. So I think that dovetails right into your preview that we definitely are going to be looking at the under in that matchup.
Yeah, I like that. I like those numbers there. I'm not too sure about the side here. I think both teams, even though they're overachieving a little bit, they match up pretty well. An offensive team versus a defensive team. Those are hard games to cap on the side. So, and that's why I'm only leaning on the under here.
Yeah, and Washington is definitely an under team. They're 5-1 to the under as a favorite, and they're also 8-2 under so far in November. It's hard to. I mean, you just don't want to bottom pick, folks. It's tempting to take the over because, for whatever reason, it's due to go over. It's not. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this game go under by a margin of double digits.
Definitely possible.
Yep. So let's move on to the next game here, 8 o'clock at the United Center. And that means that we have the Chicago Bulls. 8 o'clock start. They're home hosting the Pacers. Bulls are 12-5, and if you ever watched any of these shows, you know that Ronald and I are big time bullish on the Bulls to do much better than 42.5 wins, which was their preseason wins total line. This is a pretty tough matchup for them going up against the Pacers, who are just a 7-11, but I think they're a lot better than their record indicates. The Bulls are favored by 3, over under 211.5 points. Where are your thoughts on this game pointing you to?
Yeah, so I think this is one of those games where we're going to see fatigue play a role for both teams. Both teams are playing in their 3rd game in 4 nights. The Pacers do have 1 day of rest where the Bulls are playing back-to-back. But the one thing about the Pacers is they've actually been traveling a lot. 7 of their last 9 games have been on the road, and both home games were 1-game homestand. So they're really actually traveling from game to game for the last 9 games at the very least, and then they're on the road here to face the Bulls. So I think it's going to affect their offense. In their last 5 games, you could already kind of tell that the fatigue has been setting in because their offensive rating has gone down to 24th in the league in the last 5 games versus I think they're somewhere in the middle of the pack overall for the whole season. And the Bulls, like I mentioned, they're playing on the second half of back-to-backs. They're one of the better defensive teams in the league as well. They're seventh in the league in defensive rating. And then both teams are in the middle of the pack when it comes to pace as well. So I think there's going to be the fatigue factor here playing a big role on why this game will probably go under.
Yeah, that's a great breakdown there, Ronald. Effective field goal shooting is middle of the road. Um, we do know that the Bulls are playing on back-to-back home nights. They were at home last evening against Portland, right?
I think it was the Knicks,
Oh,
I
the
believe.
Knicks. That's right.
Yeah.
Yep. So teams that are playing on back-to-back nights, 13 and 11, and one push against the spread so far in the 2021 season. But for future reference, when a team played their previous game home and now they're on the road with no rest and back-to-back nights, the betting against those travelers is 11-5 against the number, and the under in those games is 12-4. So I think that 12-4 actually is supportive for this matchup, even though it's back-to-back home games for the Bulls.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely a lean or more to the under, I would say, for us.
Yeah, I like the under here. I know the total's gone up since open, so it's similar to the Wizards and Charlotte, where we're seeing the public kind of push that number up, but that just gives value to the under here.
Yeah, and I think we can update in the comment section of the show later on today. I'm going to take a look at some of the team totals and run some analysis on that. And there might be an opportunity to take the under with the underdog, meaning that we think that the favorite will win the game, maybe not cover, but will win the game, and that means that they're going to be more likely to go under the total with the opponent's team total points. Yeah, so I'll provide that later on this afternoon. And in our last game, perhaps my favorite one to talk about for this show is the 76ers. 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. It'll be the premier game on NBA TV today. And they're going up against the Kings, who are they started out well, but then they had 2 games over the weekend that were just pathetic. They did not have a lead in either one of those home games against Toronto and Utah. They fired their coach, Luke Walton. They brought in Alvin Gentry, who's a great name. I would say almost a legendary coach. I mean, he's been around, seems like forever. But you can't solve these problems that the Kings have by changing your coach and also having one day. So I still consider them a team in disarray. The Sixers are without Embiid, as you know, Ronald. The line here is making the 76ers a dog, and I think as dysfunctional as the Kings have been, I think the market has overshot and overreacted to the 76ers playing without Embiid. The fact that they are on a 1-6 streak right now, which is the worst that they've had in quite some time. And Embiid's not going to play probably till they go back home. And their road trip ends at Golden State on Wednesday, which is not going to be a game.
Tough one.
Yeah, I don't think the Sixers win that one. But I do think that they know they can win this one and will put maximum effort into getting the win. How do you see this game?
Well, on the side, it's tough for me to call on this one just because of the new coach and Embiid being gone again. So when I was looking into the coaching change here, Alvin Gentry, he was the head coach of the Pelicans for a few years, and in those years they were actually at the top or near the top in the league in pace each year. And I know the Kings, they already play a fairly quick pace, but I have a feeling they're going to be even quicker with Alvin Alvin Gentry, heading the team. I think they're gonna show up a little bit better. They might show up uh, on a. I think it's a positive change for them. I don't think they liked. I don't think the players liked Luke Walton at all. So I'm expecting an even quicker pace from this team. A team that's already eighth in the league in pace. And I also think Marvin Bagley is actually going to come back into the rotation. He's going to be a positive to that Kings team too. I know there was some news about him not wanting to come into the game for Luke Walton a few games ago. But I think a new coaching change is good for him. 76ers, they'll be likely without Embiid again. They played a slightly quicker pace without him, but they've been less efficient offensively and kind of dropped their defensive efficiency as well at the same time. So for me, I'm going to go with the over here. On the side, I think it's too tough to call. So, yeah, my lean here is going to be the over.
Yeah, and with Tyrese Maxey putting on a show here, making the most of his opportunity that essentially was provided by Ben Simmons not being able to play. He has really been sensational on the offensive end, and he does play pretty intense defense too on the other side. But he's had some big games here on this road trip, and he scored over 30 in the last two home games for the Sixers. So that would lend itself to a faster pace, and the Sixers do average 7 more shot attempts per 100 possessions when Embiid is not in the lineup. And that number is actually growing as we move through this difficult road trip for the 76ers. So I do think this should go over, and I think a good look at the first half total as well would be recommended.
Yeah, I like Maxey a lot. I don't know how much his game, obviously he's improved. I liked his game last year a little bit too, but I don't know how much his game kind of affects Curry's game. It almost seems like they need to play separately for the 76ers to kind of to play well. I don't know if they play well together, to be honest. So it might be a good change for one of them to come off the bench as sort of like a 6-man, like a Clarkson and Harrow type of role, where they just come out and score at will. But yeah, both of them in the starting lineup, it kind of seems like it doesn't work out well.
Yeah, it's a good observation. I think you're right. That chemistry is their styles, I guess, are just kind of conflicting. Is probably the word that comes to mind. But I think Maxey should be the starter based on his recent performance. He's literally made the team so much better than it would have been, especially during that period where they didn't have Tobias and Embiid out on the floor.
Mm-hmm. I think once Embiid comes back and the rotation shores up, I think it'll be nice to have maybe like Embiid and Matisse in the starting lineup, and have like Curry come off of the bench. Because and that's going to bring their defensive efficiency back up. And yeah, I think that would be a really nice move on Philadelphia's part.
And this is let's see, 1, 2, 3. This is the 5th of 6 road games, and the Sixers over the last 3 seasons, Ronald, they're 14-7 over after playing 3 consecutive road games. So that would apply to tonight, and their game at Golden State on Wednesday. So that's important to keep in mind when you're handicapping any game involving the Sixers here over the next 2 to 3 games for sure. So that's good stuff, and I think that will bring an end to our triple-double, which is 3 games. That's the triple part, which we just did, and the double is obviously Ronald and myself. So, Ronald, thank you very much for your time. And guys and gals, make sure you get over to sportsmemo.com. This is one of the biggest weeks of the sports betting seasons, period, and all of sports. There's so much going on. You have all the games on Thanksgiving. Sports Memo and Wager Talk are combining forces to promote sales. that will be available on both sites. So with Ronald, you're getting an opportunity to get on board at a very cheap price with one of the best NBA cappers on the planet. And you just can't not take advantage of that. So on behalf of Ronald and myself and the Sports Memo and Wager Talk teams, may all the wins be yours. Thanks for watching.